Hi everyone. So we are now going to be setting up for our next section, which is going to be It's going to be a panel discussion, and that's how we're going to be starting off today's festival. So just a quick introduction to myself. My name's Jay. I'm one of the volunteers with the Migrant Writers of Singapore. I've been helping them for the past few years to organize a few events here and there, and really glad that today we have a really fun panel to invite everyone to participate in as well. So for today's panel, it's called Resilience, Playing to Our Strengths, something that Ms. Uyi alluded to during her opening speech as well, that there's been so much conversation, honestly, about mental health over the past few years. And interestingly enough, even though there is so much conversation, at the same time, there is so little conversation about the intersection between the mental health of migrant workers and how that interfaces with the conversations that we are having. So for today, what we're going to be talking about is that we're going to be focusing on this intersection of migrant workers and mental health, and we're going to be looking at this through the lens of resilience. And to share their stories and to share their perspectives, we have 4 panelists who will be sharing their views. I'll be giving them a quick introduction first, and then we'll be inviting them up on stage. First off, we have Dr. Carol. Dr. Carol is currently the head of Center for Humanitarian Education at the Singapore Red Cross Academy. She brings with her more than 20 years of professional experience and knowledge in the nursing and counseling sectors. Second up, we have Ms. Evelyn, who has been a migrant domestic worker in Singapore for 20 years. She has been volunteering at the Center for Domestic Employees, CDE, for the past 4 years, and is also a peer leader with the Uplifters community. Up next, we have Mr. Michael, passionate about uplifting marginalized communities. He joined HealthServe as Executive Director in 2018 after volunteering with them for 5 years. At HealthServe, he leads a growing team focused on bringing healing and hope to the migrant worker community in Singapore. And last but not least, we have Mr. Omar from Dhaka, Bangladesh. He has been living in Singapore for more than a decade, working as a safety professional. He's drawn very strongly to the community and to the arts, and he devotes his free time to creative pursuits, learning new skills, and spending time with his loved ones and loved community members. So without further ado, I would like to invite them up on stage. Let's give them a warm round of applause. Okay, this is what happens when you have 5 mics in one small setting. Okay, so as you can tell, we are trying our best to look cozy, even though the stage is very big. This is really very much a conversation. It's not so much. I think the word panel makes it sound a little bit too detached. We are really here to share stories. Stories that help us connect, because that's really what the Migrant Writers of Singapore we really focus on. We really want to see how stories can be their vehicle, not just to share things that we make up, but really to convey things that really matter to us through these things that we talk about. So actually that's how we're going to be beginning. We're going to be starting by, I'm going to invite everyone here to just share an experience that they have had or an experience that they would like to share about how they have actually experienced accessing mental health services, mental wellness services in Singapore. Whether or not, for example, it was challenging or maybe you found support in your own ways. Yeah. So for anyone who is comfortable with beginning first, I would like to invite you to share that story with everyone here. Okay. It's always very challenging to be the first one, so let's give them a round of applause, yeah?
I hear an interesting story from Umar just now, so I would like to hear more from you, Umar.
Thank you. Hello everyone, very good afternoon. My name is Omar. I'm from Dhaka, Bangladesh, and I've been living in Singapore more than a decade. Earlier, Singapore wasn't very fair to me. So it sounds weird, but this is the truth. We have been struggling a lot. I'm living in Singapore 13 years. It sounds amazing, but the behind struggle, very seldom people are known. If I share about my stories, when I came to Singapore 2009, after 23 days I worked, I have been sent back to my country. So there are unfortunate things happened to my company, and it was very tough for me to face off this problem, because there are a lot of things in my mind, what I'm supposed to do, and how I'm going to get back in Singapore and start again. So after 6 months, I able to make again come in Singapore. After 1 year, similar things happened, sent back to Bangladesh. So in this 2-year journey, I have I have lost around $15,000 to $20,000, which is very tough for me to handle it. For my family, to me, it was like very big challenge for me, how I'm going to meet again, go to Singapore again, and I fill up all those loss. I keep my strength myself, and because there are a lot of responsibilities in my shoulders to my family. And somehow I manage. I came back again Singapore. I start work and continue I working. I don't think anything. I just work and try to upgrade myself with new skills. Then slow. I try to get some stairs to climb up. And then till now, I'm a safety professional, one soil test company, and I'm really appreciate Singapore that whatever had been happened to me, it wasn't Singapore's fault. There are some certain people behind. So why I'm saying that, I have learned a lot of things from Singapore. I call myself as a volunteer because I love to do voluntary work for myself, for my satisfaction. And seeking of a volunteering interest, I joined Singapore Red Cross as a volunteer. During this COVID, actually this volunteering I found exploded, and there are so many ways that I can contribute myself as a volunteer. I found our migrant brothers are stressful in the dormitories. They are depressed, to fear of death, fear of losing their jobs, fear of families, everything. I have faced a lot of sad stories I have heard from my friends who are living in dorms. I see them, how they depress. And I am very glad that I have joined so many communities in Singapore, Bangladeshi communities and Singaporean communities, who are really help us a lot to cope up from this situation, how we're going to handle this situation. So through this community collaboration, I learned a lot of things, how such situation we're going to handle ourselves, how we're going to take care of ourselves. And that was the big achievement for me, what I have learned. Volunteering myself to helping myself actually. I'm helping somebody by information wise or by giving advice or something. It's also give me strength to becoming stronger and stronger. So during this pandemic, actually, a lot of things I have learned from this community. And such a situation, we wasn't really prepared before that this kind of things will happen. We are not ready yet. Suddenly this thing happens. For me, how we going to define that I'm in stress? This is the most important. People are stressed without knowing they are stressed. So, to understand, I'm stressed, I'm in depression. we need to identify this. How are we going to identify this? We have to share our stories to our brothers, our loved one, that I'm in a problem, and how I'm going to overcome on it. This is the first thing. And second things, we cannot isolate ourselves in any place. Like I'm in stress, I'm in a depression. I don't like to talk to anybody. I don't want to share with anybody. That is the worst part I found. When I'm sharing something to my friends, they're giving me advice and they're giving me the way out, how I'm going to cope up from this situation and how I'm going to overcome from this stress and all this. So that is my first things that I have to say. When we are in mentally stressed, we have to share our stories. We have to share our problems to our friends one, our loved one, and we cannot isolate ourselves in any way. And collaborating with different communities, what I have learned, our culture, to share with Singaporean friends and to learn about Singaporean culture, that is the amazing things that I have learned from during our journey when we have a community collaboration. And during this COVID, I have faced some challenges, such challenges like to learn new skills. Actually, when we are in COVID-19 situation, circuit breaker, we are unable to go out, unable to share anything, unable to learn anything. But when your one door closed, there are a lot of windows are open. So COVID-19, I don't find it was a bad things to me, because I feel this COVID-19 gave me opportunity to have a community collaboration and communication with local community. Before this COVID, we all the migrant brothers, what I have seen, I have been experienced. I go to work, I come back to home. That was my territory. But after this COVID, so many communities have step forward to help our migrant brothers about their mental health, about their any other issues. They are trying to sort it out. We become a friend. Before, very seldomly I can say I have few Singaporean friends. But now I can say I have more than 50 Singaporean friends. They are very kind, very helpful, calling over SMS, how are you, what are you doing? It feels amazing. It's not because of they are coming to help me by financial. It's because of mental. They're helping us by asking me how I am doing, what I am doing. And when Singapore, very nice country, when I was in Bangladesh, I always heard dreamland. And when I come here and I face some difficulties, I don't really make myself worse that dreamland become my dark land. I still keep on my mind, this dreamland, of course I'm gonna make it my dreamland. And nowadays, I really feel great. I appreciate all of my Singaporean friends, my brothers, my sisters, my migrant brothers, and my domestic sisters. Everyone are very kind and polite, and this relationship help us to improve our mental health. Thank you very much, everyone. There are a lot of stories to share. We have so many guests. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Omar, for sharing. When you were sharing and I was hearing the things, like the two words that really like stuck out to me, the first one was you mentioned a lot about community, and the power of community to connect. Those two words really played out in my head because it made me realize that when we are talking about something like mental health, for example, it actually opens up a lot more, right? That when we are talking about how we are feeling, having a sense that someone is just there and we are able to connect with that person, and it doesn't even have to be a face-to-face conversation. It can be a text, right? Someone checking in and saying, how are you doing? That is one very real way to also connect with people. Yeah, and reflecting on it myself, having people check in with me, asking me like, oh, someone cares for me, someone's actually I am in someone else's head, and they are checking in on me. It does really feel very, very good. So thank you so much for sharing the story, Omar. Maybe Miss Evelyn, do you like to share next? Okay.
Hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Evelyn Obillo. I am from Philippines and working as a migrant domestic worker in Singapore for 20 years. I have 4 kids. There are 3 boys and 1 girl, and they're all grown up. Being away from family is not easy. I've been through a lot. I've moved from one employer to another. In fact, I'm on my 10th employer right now. So 20 years, 10 employers, can you imagine? It's a lot of different experiences, but my first few years here, I actually don't have a day off for 2 years. But I manage, I survive because I keep on reminding myself of my purpose, and coming to Singapore to work is to give my family a better future. But what tested and almost broke my mental resilience is when my mother passed away last year. Yeah. Before the COVID, I used to go home annually, so it was good. So when my mother passed away last year, it really hit me hard because I was looking forward to go home after the COVID, the pandemic, and the borders open up, and the restrictions, and it will be lifted up. But before that time came, my mother passed away. It was very difficult for me, and I started to withdraw from the society. I stopped my online courses halfway, and I just want to stay in my room and just cry and thinking, why? And I don't know. I don't have an answer, actually. And I didn't know that I've been going to depression. I didn't even realize it. But my employer is a very sensitive person, so she said, Evelyn, you look like crap. Sorry about that, the word. And she said, get out and let's talk. The first thing she asked me is, how are you coping with your mother's passing? I have no words to say. I just start crying, and for how many minutes, and she just gave me a hug, and she gave me a box of tissue, and I just keep crying. After a few minutes, then I feel better, and we sit and talk. I told her, I just want to go home. I really want to pack my bag, and I just want to give up. And I had enough. My mother's gone. And then my employer said, how about your children? How about your grandchildren? How about your goal? You told me that you want to give a better future for your children. You want to build a house. Are you going to give up just like that? And I think about it. And she said, okay, I will give you 2 weeks break and come back to me. After 2 weeks, and if you still think the same way, then I will definitely let you go. And I think it helps, but she said, for the meantime, you go out there and get a life. That's my employer when she talk like that. So, and I'm really grateful to her. So I heed her advice. I start contacting my friends again. I went back to Facebook. So I met up with friends. I joined workshop. I actually signed up with the Red Cross, with the psychological first aid course and Red Cross. And I have signed up with Uplifters about mental health. And it really helps me a lot. And before I know it, I am back on track. So yes, I agree with you that I think the social support is actually important. We cannot really bottle it up and just separate from the society. We need to open up, find someone to talk to, which is, I consider myself lucky because I have friends that really, I have a community that really cares, that they have a heart, and they really reach out to me and how are you doing, how are you feeling, and of course with my employer's support, and I managed to get through it. Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing. I mean, hearing both Mr. Omar and Ms. Evelyn sharing, something that really resonated with me is that, sometimes we don't even know when we're going through something. And sometimes it might take someone else to say that you're looking like crap. Or to even just go for that, to just grow that awareness and even knowing that we are feeling something. Only then can we really take those steps. And another thing that really resonated with me also is how just through the experiences that you have shared, I'm recalling what Ms. Uy mentioned about the definition of resilience, that it is the ability to adapt. Yeah, and I saw that ability to adapt running through both of your stories so strongly. So thank you so much for sharing them. I would like to invite either Michael or Carol if you have any responses or perhaps anecdotes or stories of your own that you would like to share, either in response or to also add to what has been shared so far.
So you guys are amazing. So I guess thanks you a lot for sharing your stories. But resilience is something that I thought was really important. I always imagine myself as a bamboo. I think, Ms. Wee, you talk about timber. I know just when you talk about poems on timber, straight away reminds me of the bamboo. So my doctorate journey is really not easy at all. Lots of cries, lots of painful journey, and a lot of things happening. And it is a lonely journey without really lots of support as well. And that's the only time that I really feel at the time that my brain is disconnected with my body. Stress, it affects our body, really affect. And I have 2 episodes of, I cannot imagine, how can the stress immediately make me feel as if, I cry suddenly out of no reason, and it got disconnected, and you have incontinence without knowing it. Twice episode, I was like, gosh, it's like my brain is really disconnected with my body. So again, the same thing, social support is really important. Volunteering is actually a part of my way of coping as well. Helps me, and I learn too. I mean, that episode got over it when I finished my doctorate, but that is a painful journey as well. But it's nothing compared to both of you, who is so far away you came from, and you're alone here without family support. I think it's really not easy, but this is part of the journey. I thought that that stress is really important, that we should really know how to take care of ourselves. Self-care is so important, and be a good listener, is what Omar said. It's so important to listen, so compassionate people around you to support each other as well. That's why community support is a huge thing that we need to help each other as well. So just a little bit about me only, that's all. That resilient part of me, like a bamboo, like when I feel that kind of situation I just press a button on myself, hooray, I become an Iron Man. I have a protective armor that, bounce back all the negativity. And here I am, I just move on. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Carol. When you are sharing something that I recall also is my friend making this comment that Singaporeans are like dead from the head down, because we only think of our heads, but we're not aware of how our body is telling us what we are feeling about. And as Dr. Carol, you are sharing, I'm also just reminded that as I was hearing the stories just now, that these stories of struggle but also resilience were not just here, right? But then they were also informed by things that we were feeling, things like, I don't feel like I'm able to get out of the bed, things like I don't want to move on with my day, that there is a very strong connection, and sometimes we might need to re-establish that connection between what our bodies are revealing to us about how we are, and sometimes our bodies actually tell us more than we think we know, especially as it concerns where we are if we were really to be honest with ourselves. So last but not least, I'm just going to invite Michael if you have anything to add on.
Thanks. Actually, I'm not sure why I'm here. These are amazing people. Maybe I'll just share a little bit about then, from a caregiver's perspective. hearing from these two who has showed such resilience. I started my volunteering journey many years in health serve. I remember my journey is just serving a cup of water, and that was how I started. And what I did was just, I saw this young man. He was badly injured. I mean, he had a work injury, and then he was scarred, and limping away. And I just served a cup of water, and that was it. And that cup of water created a conversation. And with the conversation, we started a friendship. It was a very difficult journey for him. He had dreams, he had big dreams, he had goals, he wanted to do so many things. He came to Singapore because he wanted to provide a better life for his child. He wanted to have a better life for his family back home. And everything changed when that accident happened. To be honest with you, I have no idea what to do. That was many years ago. I'm engineering by training, so engineers are not straightforward. We are dumb. We don't really know how to empathize very well. And I sat there and I listened, and I listened, and I listened. And I thought that probably was the best thing that could happen, because I have no idea what to do. So that conversation turned to days turned to months, and then we became friends, and we started communicating about then what are your dreams? What do you want to do next? How do you recover from where you are? And how do you build yourself again so you can become stronger? He has returned home. He's returned home since. It's been nearly 12 years since this incident happened. And I'm really proud. We still communicate on and off. He's doing really well. A recent case as well, we spoke to a brother who actually gone through a big depression where his family's back home. Similar to the cases and stories that we hear today. I think what I'm sharing to us about here is that, it doesn't take very much to be the community. It doesn't take very much to be the person to just reach out. Sometimes it just takes a cup of water. And I think it is not an easy thing for communities to reach out. Because firstly, you don't really know how to reach out or where to reach out. Who do you even go to? Where do you even go to? Where do you even start? So be the channel, be the avenue. I think that would be the best thing for all of us, I guess.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm like, okay, I actually have like I don't have like a plan of sorts, but there is a direction that I'm sensing the conversation moving towards, right? We started with stories very intentionally because we want to start with people. As much as we talk about programs, support programs here and there for things, we must not forget that programs are ultimately made for people. And people are unique. There is an individuality for each and every single one, and that's why we begin with stories. But at this point in time, I would like to start zooming out a little bit into thinking about, we've been hearing how individuals have been resilient. At the same time, we can't depend on just people to be resilient all the time, right? I mean, that is definitely a necessary part of it. At the same time, it cannot just be expecting like, okay, anything is hard, okay, you're on your own, figure it out, and then you're resilient, good, Sometimes we have to depend on community, as you guys have shared. Sometimes we can also be bolstered by effective programs, right? And so I guess this is an open question for anyone who would like to answer. If you have been part of a program that has been helpful, for example, or perhaps maybe even from an organizer's perspective or from a professional perspective, what are things that can be done to actually support the mental health for both migrants and locals alike? It's an open question, if anyone would like to.
Yeah, I was thinking that training and training education is really very, very important for awareness, that we are trying to do it as well. So, but we can't do things alone. So we need to collaborate with you guys to share as well and to work together as well. And of course with HealthServe too, which is most important. You guys are doing such a great work that I thought it is important to pursue that in training, any program that everybody is keen to explore, to learn more about resilience, to know more about how you can improve, even through education, through safety that you have learned as well. You upskill then you feel confident too. So lots of things that can be done through education, which I find that is really very important. It's not only for local, but for even our brothers and sisters too. So yeah, I mean, that's my view. So I'm not too sure about Michael. How do you feel about that too?
Yeah, thanks, Carol. I believe in the things of the community support, right? I always believe in the area of same culture, near culture, far culture concept. Most of the time, we open up very closely, easily, and more willingly to the same culture concept, where it's easier for Omar to really reach out to the migrant brothers within his communities and to be able to just give them a nudge. Hey, how are you? I'm checking in. I'm really encouraged to hear that so many Singaporeans and the friends who have developed this, but it took time. It takes a lot of time before he actually managed to do so. So for us, I believe in building a community within the community. So having the migrant brothers themselves being empowered and equipped is really the big step. Just like what Carol said, awareness is a big thing. And after the awareness, how then do we encourage them to have the desire to act? Because the part of desiring to really act is the part that they will really come out. So we need more Omars, we need more Evelyns, we really do. And it takes really from a community within to really lift them up, to be able to enable them to be able to do so as well. One of the work that we do, I really strongly believe in this, and I'm so thankful to hear about the psychological first aids and things like that, is to really not just provide an avenue, but really to empower them to really go out to be the person that checks in for everyone else. I truly agree. Awareness, education, empowering, and then hopefully through that, the person desires to really act and not just learn. Yeah.
Actually, I want to share one story about the journey, about the community and the journey. When I started to have a community collaboration, so we have a first facing the problem is language barrier. Some migrant brothers are really not enough understand all the English. So what we do, we reach them, and some of MOM information during this COVID, those information we translate and we pass to them to better understand what we need to do and what are the restrictions are ongoing. So during these things are ongoing, when I have to say some names of my communities that I have joined with, like a 24 Asia, CMSC, We Talk, Overseas Foreign Workers, in this together, a lot of communities, how they help. Especially CMSC has one initiative run, We Talk. This session, they invite us to join a Zoom session. During this Zoom session, they teach us English, Chinese, and we teach them Bengali and all this. So there are give and take session ongoing. And our migrant brothers are very interested to have this interaction with Singaporean people. Hey, I want to learn something. It doesn't matter I learn or not. I want to have a part of this Zoom session. I want to know somebody is calling my name. Tell something about you. What are you doing? So this desperation, people are calling us, hey, I want to join your group. This is the open session. Okay, join. We send them the links, they join. We have weekly 2-time Zoom session and give and take teaching session. We celebrate online Singapore National Day. And before this National Day, our Singaporean friends teach us Singapore anthem. We learn it. And during this Zoom meeting, we sing Singapore anthem. It's amazing, no? So how this helps us to improve our mental health. And this is how our Singapore local community step up to help us. It's not only asking my family problems and all this. Everybody have family problems. So no need to focus on that problems. Focus on the potential possibilities, how I'm going to improve myself, how I'm going to climb up stairs upwards. So that is the things that we have learned. They encourage us to don't think about these negative things, think the potential positive things, work ahead, work forward, you can have your success in your life. Success doesn't mean you become a millionaire. To me, success, you are so far, you happy in your present life. Thank you.
So Omar, thank you so much. So I think it's really very important that we really need to hear what you all want to work together towards the awareness and engage you guys that we can even be better too. Otherwise, we'll be doing something that may not be relevant to all of us to help each other as well. So thanks again for sharing. And the courage of you both sitting here, and I hope more people like you both will be able to come forward and work together to improve all our migrant friends as well, like you guys. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm not taking over yours. Thank you.
Okay. So I found it really, really interesting. I mean, because Omar, you were sharing a lot about community, and Michael, you were talking about community. Dr. Carol, you were talking about education. And I know, Evelyn, I'm going to put you in the spot, but I know that you're also part of the Uplifters community, and you've been also learning things there, right? And you've also been doing things there. And I was hoping that you could share a little bit about what you do with the Uplifters community. I understand you're a peer leader. So what does that look like, and what have you been doing with them?
Yeah, hello. I want to share my journey of volunteering. So, my first few years in Singapore, I don't have a day off, and I don't have a phone. So when I'm having difficulties, and I just have to write it down, and I have no one to turn to. So when I finished my contract, I said, I don't want to renew because I want a day off. So when I got my day off, and I met a lot of fellow domestic workers, and they share about their stories. So I said, I want to volunteer. I know how difficult it is to have no one to turn to when you are having troubles or difficulties. So then I found Uplifters online. And then I contacted the founder, Marie, and she told me it's actually, aside from being, it's a money management, and they also do personal growth. So they teach us how to be strong during difficult times, how to involve the family, about how to do your finances. Yes, and how to save for the future. So that's what I learned from Uplifters. And currently, some of them are from Uplifters as well. And actually, currently, I am one of the mentors. So we facilitate courses. There are my team leaders. So we reach out for... Uplifters is actually an NGO based in Hong Kong. They provide online education for migrant domestic workers in different countries. Aside from volunteering in Uplifters, I'm actually a volunteer of CDE as well in Singapore. CDE is Center for Domestic Employees, and it's run by NTUC, and they provide assistance for distressed migrant domestic workers. We, as a volunteer, we organize outreach program. I joined outreach program. We go from one place to another. They do a workshop as well, and we have a get-together. So just to engage the community, to build the social network. So yes, I think it's really helpful, and I'm enjoying my time. I think the community is really helpful for us who are away from family. We need a place to feel that we belong. Yes, and to socialize, of course, and it's just a place to unwind and share stories, because sometimes when I'm going through difficult times, I feel like oh, I have the worst life ever. And when I speak to other girls, and then they say, oh, no, actually, mine is nothing. Others have it worse. So it's good to have, to connect with others, because it really helpful. Yes.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, let's. Yeah, I see people like a bit tentative, not sure whether to clap. Let's do it. Let's just clap with confidence. Yeah. Okay. So really quickly, we are actually almost out of time. Yeah, just one more question from me, just to wrap it up. But this is also an invitation for everyone to think about this as well, right? Which is that the way that we frame this entire conversation is that we've noticed so much conversation about mental health ever since COVID started. At the same time, we've noticed that there's so little conversation as well. But one thing that's for certain is that everyone here, we've made it through COVID, and I think that takes resilience, right? And so one thing that I would like to invite everyone to think about, and I'll also invite the panelists to think about and share their response, is what would you tell yourself, your pre-COVID self, two years ago? In one sentence, what would you tell yourself? After experiencing everything that you've had through COVID, now you see yourself 2 years ago, before COVID started, what would you tell that person? And I would like to invite the audience members as well to think about what your answer to yourself would be too. We'll take about 30 seconds to think about it, and then for any of the panelists who feel ready to answer, you can pick up the mic when you're ready. But I would like to invite everyone here to actually give that a think.
Thank you. Yeah. So, what would I tell myself back then? I guess I'll tell myself it's okay not to be okay, and just don't quit. I think these are the things that I'll probably tell myself, and the words that will probably encourage me. Yeah.
Hello. For me, what I'm gonna tell myself is the world will not stop revolving, even if you're grieving. So, and before you care about others, you had to care about yourself first, because we cannot pour from an empty cup.
I still want to be a bamboo. Take about 5 years to grow. Finally, grow about 1 meter, approximately 1 meter per month, which you need a lot of patience. And you need to focus too. You cannot neglect the seed that's on the ground. So take times, be patient, and stay focused. You'll be all right. That's me. Thank you.
We'll give Omar the last one, so I'll go first. For myself, I would tell myself to reach out, and that it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to send that text. It's okay to tell like that person, your close friend, that you might need some support. That would be what I would tell my past self. Yeah.
I would like to tell myself, no matter what happened, be strong. Life must be moved on. Smile is a charity, so please smile each other. Thank you.
Okay, so that's all the time that we have. So just some closing remarks from me real quick is that you might have noticed that for this particular panel, because it's so rich, there's so many things that people here have to share, we did not actually have the time for a Q&A section. That said, I think this very much is the end of the panel discussion, but it is just the beginning of the conversation, right? So if any of, So if any of you are interested in hearing the stories and talking to them more, They've mentioned so many resources that you can reach out to. We'll also be hanging around for the festival as well. You can come and have a conversation with us. Perhaps, I recommend you to ask your questions in person instead. Normally you answer in a conference setting like that, right? Normally you get sanitized responses, then you don't really get the full answer, and then you must combine with different questions. Actually, it's a lot worse. Just ask us in person later on, and we are more than happy to share. So this is an encouragement from me to keep the conversation going, because that is very much what this is for, right? The conversations do not stop here. They expand beyond I was going to say four walls, but this room is circular, so they expand beyond this venue. And so that is something that I really want to encourage everyone here to do. In a very real way, you've already made that first step to come here. You are here for this conference. You're here for this festival. I'm sure you're here for a reason. And my guess is that that reason is to also connect. The connection that so many of us here have been talking about for the past hour. So that's by way of closing the conversation, just beginning. Thank you so much for coming. We hope that you have a great rest of the festival, and take care.